beautiful Wednesday morning, isn't it?
It is.
And it's my day, so I'm on Kweku.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so I get excited when
Yeah,
it's
Kwekus
Wednesday.
are very bad boys.
I know.
That's
how come they have the the name boom some.
we're also good
I
voice.
hope you don't prove them
We're also
right.
good voice.
No, it's Kweku boom some. You can't take that.
All right.
What are you saying? Look, all the Kwekus and the Kukwas around, please.
All the Kwekus I know are actually stubborn to a point.
Yes,
I have
but
a brother, Kweku.
to a
He's
point.
Very stubborn.
And it's been helpful.
All right.
It's been helpful, right? Have you ever had a Kweku boyfriend?
No.
No, she's
Okay,
not.
yeah.
I know.
Bright, how do you know?
No, I know I'm not. I'm just
Bright screens them for me.
You know, I know all the witches that.
Yeah, of course, you're a witch catcher, so I mean.
All right.
Good morning.
Okay. All right. A great Wednesday morning. And of course, all the wise men seek Allah and who gives life and death. And so this morning, we're grateful that you've stayed there to be part of the show. Wednesday morning, the tracker should be telling you that whatever plans you had for the week, you should be in the middle of it by now. So if you're not there, then it means that there is something gone wrong. You need to fast track it. Get ready. If you have some contract to win, you should be discussing the middle of it. If you had some few things to deal with, school, work, you should be in the middle of it by now. If you're not, it means that you're slacking. You need to wake up and get to business. Good morning. If you're on your way to your offices, drive slowly and get there. When you sit down, quickly turn to TV3. If you're home watching us to take breakfast before you leave, we're grateful that you are there too.
Exactly.
From now to now, Johnny,
Yes.
Amma, and Bride will excite you and make your morning a great Wednesday morning.
And you have 2 more days to go, so
Yeah.
make it count.
The excitement is beginning to boil.
Of course.
I'm excited. I'm dressed. You know, like,
yeah, it's red. I mean, you should see her shoes. We'll let you see her shoes.
You know, when the Vandal see these, they get excited.
They're very
and they
excited. I know. And I for some strange reason, I could hardly wear red whilst I was in school.
Yeah, you can't.
I think he used to scare me. Yes. I just couldn't stand it. Anyway, so we have interesting headlines packed for you. Let's see what's coming up today.
Welcome to the start of a great morning. It's a new day. Wake up and feel the sunshine. Coming up, it has emerged that some foreign companies and organizations are highly indebted to ECG. Minister of Energy disclosed how the U.S. Embassy in Ghana and MTN Ghana owe the ECG several million cedis of power supplied. Join us on Daily Rants this morning. As technology and a new generation of workers influence the business space, leadership is changing. How best can we raise strategic leaders for tomorrow? The Ghana Youth Speak Forum has the answers. And the world of Nollywood is brought down to Ghana in an exclusive interview with actress Michelle Dede. NewDay. Wake up, feel the sunshine.
This is what it feels like.
Righty, you know what's in store for you, and as always, I encourage you to be part of the conversation on social media. WhatsApp 050-823-5228, and on Twitter as well at News on TV3. Facebook is TV3GH or TV3 Ghana. Well, we've been joined by Gideon Neil Lante is the general manager of the chiropractic and wellness centers in Ghana. Chief, good morning. Good morning. How are you doing? I see you have very firm handshake. Does it come from the chiropractic practice?
Yes, and also no. It's all about making sure you're confident in everything you do. So your handshake,
right?
That as well.
I see. The women don't like it when you squeeze their hands. They think that.
Oh, some do.
Yeah,
Johnny,
they
some
do.
I know Amma, for instance. She likes
in certain situations.
There's a handshake.
When you squeeze my hand.
Yes,
I
slightly. Not very hard.
People don't mind, right? Anyway, let's move into the headline. So the Daily Statesman, it says, fuel stations face demolition. Also, NPA to undertake petroleum safety campaign, and then FDA to destroy fake abortion drugs.
Okay, let's stay on the fuel stations because the Independent is also carrying the same story. A government to bulldoze dangerously sited fuel stations. That's the energy minister. You know, I don't want to remind us of what happened a year ago when 3rd June, I guess.
It was 2 years ago, actually.
And then it became an issue. Now we started running after fuel stations. But George, Gideon, sorry. Now, fuel stations and where they are sited, is it a matter of the location or safety at the station?
I'd say both, because, you know, as the community grows, location becomes the issue. Because even if a fuel station is sited in a very sparsely populated area, after a while, those communities are now heavily populated, and so that also becomes an issue. But
They
I'll
tend to
put
come
it
closer to
yes,
where the
fuel
equipment
stations are. But I'll put it more to safety, and the safety has a lot to do with monitoring. You know, it's not really about when it's set up, because, you know, we are very good at setting up things, but now monitoring becomes an issue. And so if we can have our agencies being up to the task, being resourced, and doing what they're supposed to do, things of this will be in the past.
the location might not influence the safety aspect too much.
Yes.
I'm asking this because if you go to other parts of the world, the United States, South Africa, you find filling stations right in the heart of where people live.
Right.
So for them, I guess the focus is on safety.
Yes.
And like you take the monitoring and to check if things are being done.
Sure. People who are paid to do these things do not usually do it. They would sit in the offices and assume that things are going right, and would not do what's expected of them. So I would want to say that we need to call on these agencies to be up and doing, so that we can avert these calamities. I think a week or so there was some happening in Takoradi.
But Gideon, you see, to the extent that, and there's a call by the minister at the policy summit, but to the extent that you would have NPA on the board, fire service on the board, EPA on the board, a whole lot of the municipal assemblies on the board, that gives the licenses to these filling stations to go and set up. Now they've got your permission to go and set up, and you say you want to bulldoze them out. Are we looking at judgment debts on our hand?
Sort of, but I would say that if you got permission for something and you didn't get it right because you paid your way through, if the law catches up on you, that would be
doesn't matter. I got the stamp of the EP, I got the stamp of the fire service, I got the stamp of the municipal assembly. Whether I paid or not, they gave me. I didn't hold a gun to their head.
Sure.
So then now I have permission to operate. I'm not on the wrong side of the law, pay the books.
Yes, you're not on the wrong side of the law, but when it comes to the periodic maintenance safety measures, you would not meet
could go
it.
wrong
so
somewhere.
yes, if those stations cited in those areas are found not to have met those requirements, of course, it's easier to get rid of
I'll give you a
those
practical example, about two of them, maybe three. There's one by IPS or UPSA, where the students have been calling that. So we took up that story on Community Connect on 3FM.
Sure.
We went to the municipal assembly, we went to the fire service, we went to all them, and they told us, look, the man has permits to operate, so he's not on the wrong side of the law.
Okay.
In the meantime, the students thought that where he had cited the filling station was not good for them. There's another around the Wager area, the Pambros area, where the guys thought that, well, it's too close to our home. But they have permits. What do you do? And up to now, you can't do nothing about it.
Before Amma comes in, let me read the story on the Independent. I guess now the first paragraph says that the Energy Minister has announced that all fuel stations cited at unapproved locations across the country would be demolished. So, suggesting that there are some areas that we cannot cite filling stations. So that we have no qualms with. Or you think
right. You see, in this particular case, there's Cell Oil, and I think there's one of two around Pambros. There was an issue when Jerry Akwe Thompson was MC, which we took up. The people said that it's a residential area, you can't cite it there. But when we went to the municipal office,
and the site plan was shown.
It shows that yes, it's a residential area, but they have also zoned it for him to have
commercial
there.
purposes. Okay.
So when he says that wrongly cited, I'm saying that there are about 15 or 18 agencies that give you the permit.
Right.
Are we going back to all these agencies to revoke the license? Because without a fire certificate, you can't set it up. Without EPA, without MPA, without all of them.
Okay, but let me put that to Gideon, because the minister says, according to the paper, unapproved locations.
Yes. So that, I'm sure it would not be something that will be done haphazardly. Time will be taken and then looked at. And so I believe that the unapproved ones would certainly go. I'm sure that the objective is not to victimize anybody. It is to make sure that the country is safe for everybody else to live in. And so our reception of it should be in that regard, so we all are safe. And from there, we need to start doing things right.
And I agree with
the
Gideon.
paper again
Yes.
is raising the same issue that Johnny is talking about, because Mr. Jacko said that, for instance, a quote from him says they have all the permits, including the district assembly permit.
Right.
Now the man has a permit procured by whatever means. We cannot tell, but we have to come back to common sense and insist that there are certain zones which we will not allow the siting for such dangerous
You
facilities.
see,
So
right.
I think government
Yes.
has a lot of work to do.
Right,
about
but
it.
you see, in the case of Cell Oil around the UPS area, for example, the gentleman, I think Mr. Blagoji or so, I remember, he said that he showed us the technology they have, world-class technology. So it's
For-
not
for
a
safety.
Yes, so it's not a regular tank where you have it corroding and rusting and the fuel sipping into the soil, and this is tight and all of that, which is what the fire service moved there. But when they saw the things, they said, "Oh,
Yeah,
this
so
one
that's it.
is
So that's the
international."
point that
but
Gideon
then
was
it's
making.
expensive. Can everybody afford it?
That's
Well,
what I was
if-
going
if
to
you are
say.
making
Not
money,
even
sure.
that, even if that is approved, have we tried and tested it? I mean, until something happens, we'll say it's okay to site there. But UPS is densely populated.
Right.
If anything should go wrong, all the students there are going to lose their
No,
lives.
no,
So,
I-
in as
no.
much as it
But
may
the
be
SRC
safe,
has been up
we
in arms with the
definitely
man.
they have.
But then he has the permit. What do
I
you
guess
do?
Gideon will
But
have
there's a lot-
I have a problem. I don't know if Gideon has a problem to what you're saying, that the area is densely populated. I have seen filling stations where there are a chain of restaurants on top
Yes.
of it, shops around it, hotels, and yet they are there.
Like he
it's about
said,
the
because
safety.
no, but in those countries they have safety measures to ensure, and it's been tried and tested over time.
Okay.
That's the situation. If we do ours and it works, tried and tested, I'm sure everyone will be comfortable
Well,
with
I
that.
don't think Gideon has
Let me
a
bring this
different
to
opinion.
Gideon. Let me bring this to your attention. I ask you a question. Dansoman sorry down.
Right.
And this is very practical. There's a filling station there. I don't know. I remember it's a Goyle or Total. I think it's Goyle.
Well.
Right there. On top of it, there's a restaurant.
Yeah.
Right behind it, there's a gas filling station.
Yeah.
The guys who run the gas filling station cook there with their own coal pot and everything. I saw this myself. There's a vulcanizer shop right by the side. There's a supermarket. And there are chop bars opposite the filling station. I have told the fire service this over and over and over again. And they tell me, oh, they have permits, they have safety licenses, they have this. Just look at the situation. Are we sitting on a time bomb?
Certainly we are, and like I said, it's about monitoring. And to enforce this, we need to have people living in the communities, right? So you saw this because you were, around.
Right.
And so if we have
In fact, I
our,
went to do Kokonsa job as a journalist.
if we have our monitoring staff living in the community, they would not necessarily go in their clothes. Even on a Saturday, they're doing their job, right? So we need to make sure that we provide the funds needed for these agencies. The agencies
Let's
need
do
to
what
be
Kalam
looked at so that the focus for what their roles are would be met. And if that is done, I'm sure we would avert a lot of these things.
Okay. So
Interesting there.
the heritage has a story. I guess I'm going to quickly go through that. And
Well, okay, so the heritage story that we'll talk about is fallout from anti-Galamsey campaign. We saw some equipment being set ablaze at the site. That was...
we're told that Bekwasi in the eastern region, the guys were not too excited. The man, according to report Gideon we're getting, the man had packed the equipment off the site because of the directive by government. But residents alleged that he was mining at night, and so went in there and set about $1.5 million equipment ablaze.
Wow.
The fight gone bad? Is that how you describe it?
There would always be excesses in our quest to make things right, and things like this will happen. And so I believe that the government needs to step up its efforts and make sure that the right strategies are put in place, the agencies, the communities are made aware of them, and there's a lot of education that needs to go into these things so that things like this would not happen. It's sad for equipment worth this amount to be destroyed. But like I said, I'm glad people are understanding the effects of Galamsey and would want to do everything,
Right.
even though it's not the best in this regard, to ensure that we are saving resources for the next generation.
Right.
People in the Scandinavian countries are investing their oil monies for the next generation, thinking about that. And so we will need to do same. We don't need to just think about ourselves, and make sure we are protecting what we have.
Right. Right. Okay, let's do a few of the portals, the headlines on the portals. Well, we're told Nanaja Jantoa of PRC has resigned. The resignation is supposed to take effect in November, but she hasn't taken leave for a long time, so she's trying to work it into it. She's taking leave now, and by the time she the leave ends in November, she would have gone. So Nanaja Jantoa is going. You remember her saga about the hampers that she used money to buy, and money that was paid into Mr. Sapon's account and all of that, plenty issues.
Well, but, Gideon, on this one, she's resigning because the BNI is investigating the whole issue of the PRC's financial book. So public officials deciding to give way when such investigations are to be done. I guess it's in the right direction.
It is, but it also cuts slur on the image. You know, why are you resigning if there's nothing wrong? So if
She should not step aside so that investigation won't she impede whatever will be done if she's there?
stepping aside is different from resigning. You know, she could go on leave. She could go underground and all.
But this leave is to say bye-bye.
Yes, and it's not good. She fuels the rumors about whatever wrongs that has happened, and I think it wasn't the right decision to take and all.
Okay, so we're told that a Ghanaian British citizen, David Ajay, has been knighted in London and by the Duke of Cambridge, Prince William, at Buckingham Palace. So this is the architect who made Ghana proud out there. He was in the news a few weeks ago, and he's been knighted. So Sir David Ajay is there. And we also have what? Africa has workable technological innovations to solve its challenges. Chinri Hesse says so. Yofi Grant in there
We
with
heard
his...
that during Nkrumah's time.
Yes.
We're still hearing the same thing.
But Nkrumah wasn't wearing bow tie at the time. Yofi Grant has bow tie, so let's hope things work. Well, what do you got? Akosomo residents march against VRA over high electricity bills. Why? Were they expecting to pay less than all of us?
Probably
No, but
not at all.
definitely it's exorbitant.
Betting among the youth, a threat to the future.
Maybe Gideon can touch on this. I see a lot of young guys there spending quality time at these stations. For some of us, it is worrying, even though man must eat. It's a bit worrying. I guess it's worrying to you too.
Yes, it is, and that brings to mind what we as a nation are focused on, right? This didn't start just overnight. It's been around for a while, right? And so we will need to look at things differently, and this is our future. And if our future would be resorting to gambling, and what then we have. So we will need to look at it from the home. Yes, it is, but money isn't everything, right? So we need to look at it from the home, our church.
The money is exciting because we did a story on that. We went to the Nima Mamobi area and we just put, I think, 2 CDs or so, myself and Gideon, and we got 160 Ghana cedis back in just 10 minutes. The guy just told us, oh, matra, and that was all. So if somebody gets 160, somebody gets 180, 300 Ghana, I mean, what kind of work will pay me that in 10 minutes? and to the extent that the Gaming Commission has authenticated it. They have licenses. They are more than 18 years. They are not on the wrong side of the law.
But it's not everything that is...
do we need to rework the laws?
Most definitely, we will need to do that. But one of the issues I have is the fact that things like this are not controlled very well. Certainly not everybody that goes there is over 18. There's no ID system, good one here. And so people just go in and then do what they have to do. And like you're saying, make their money.
Okay, let's talk about chiropractic. Gideon, what's happening on the front of the wellness centers?
The chiropractic and wellness centers is looking at largely empowering Ghanaians to take charge of their health. And so if you are aware of what you need to do and what you don't need to do, you personally would be taking charge of it. You don't need to get anybody to let you know this is what you have to do. So basically, we are out there preaching the gospel of chiropractic and making sure that people are taking charge of their health, which is most important. Health is the #1 resource we have as a nation. And so if we are healthy, like today, you are here and doing your job because you are healthy. So we will need to make sure we're taking charge of our health.
I see. And so what, if you're raising awareness, what exactly is involved in that awareness raising?
A lot as to how we sit, sitting upright, posture.
Like the way we are seated in the studio.
Your
Yes,
chest and
your chair definitely kills you. Right, so posture is the window to your health. And so we will need to be sitting right, we will need to eating well, breathing right. Our body is made perfectly by the living God, perfect and complete. Until you put in anything that it does not require or deny it of anything that it requires, it should be functioning right.
But the work we do, does it allow some of us would have to sit from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.?
Yes. So like I said, the awareness, if you're aware that God didn't create you to be sitting, but to be upright and walking, you would be waking up every chance you get to take a walk. You can exercise just by this table without being in your gym clothes, registering.
Johnny's been doing a lot of dancing.
Yes, dancing. I saw him yesterday.
But you know, when it comes to
dancer.
healthy living, Ghanaians seem to, shy away from it because to them it's costly.
Yes.
How well are Ghanaians patronizing chiropractic and wellness centers?
Those who are aware of our patronizing it, we have over 200 people coming to our centers every week.
Wow.
Over 200 people because they are aware, they see the benefits of it and all. So I would say that if you say your health or getting health is expensive, try not getting it.
Finally, is there blood donation that makes somewhere?
Yes.
Tell us quickly before we go to
So I'm a Presbyterian. I'm part of the Young Adult Fellowship. The Teshi district is 10 years, and so we are having our 10-year anniversary. It's a year-long activity. Started off with a launch in February. We had fun games in April for that quarter. We'll be having a blood donation on Saturday. I'm calling out on everybody living in and around Teshi to join. The objective is to give back to the society. You know, we have the Lekma Hospital close to where we live, and our objective is to provide a blood bank there with a lot of blood. So the youth is coming out to make sure that we're doing that. People who will be referred from other hospitals, the family hospital, the Mana Mission, to that hospital can get help. The First Lady said last week that people shouldn't die trying to give out life. And so our objective is to make sure the blood bank there is well equipped, and then there will be medical staff as well to look.
Thank you.
Very
Gideon
well.
Ilante, grateful for your time.
Thank you
Thierry
very much.
Nyan is here. Yesterday, he went to oversee the Coach Kwesi Apia's first day at work. What did you find, Chairman?
I was just about asking you guys.
Really?
Good morning, anyway.
Yes,
good
I was about asking you guys what exactly you make of that particular, appointment. I mean, it's long overdue.
Kwesi Apia's appointment.
Now it's official. So Kwesi Appiah is head coach of the Black Stars. Johnny Limstar.
And what I make of it.
Stephen Appiah is the team manager.
Yeah, let's deal with Kwesi Appiah first.
Okay, Kwesi Appiah. I think that, they've given him first task, to win Cameroon 2019.
Yeah,
Look at
the vice president of the GFA says, George Free says that Ghana has reached the semi-finals in the last 5 editions of the tournament. So we need to now not make the final, but win the competition.
Okay. So
and you take a look at the look on his face. Says, you say what?
okay, so for Kwesi Apia's appointment, I think that we have taken the Black Stars back another 10 years.
You think so?
Yeah, that's what we're
Right, you are not being fair to Kwesi Appiah.
No. Let him explain.
But why did you take the man off? And what has changed between the time you took him off and when you have
The
brought him
GFA
back?
says that he's
gained
learned
more
too much in Sudan.
He's learned what? Sudan?
He's gathered
Sudan
experience.
football, he's learned from Sudan?
Yeah, Al Khartoum.
Okay. So we'll see. If he's
But
learned from but I'm
here,
wondering what he learned from
there are some
Sudan.
differences here.
Did he win
Tell us.
any trophy in Sudan?
Not exactly.
And so what What has he learned?
Oh, experience.
What kind of experience?
Now he's
Sudan and Ghana.
Now he's in here now with Stephen Appiah as a technical coordinator, liaising between the technical team and the playing body. He's also going to be a scout. So according to Kwesi Appiah, the players that are recommended to him, the new players, Stephen Appiah will be the man to go watch them and then give him his,
how different is that from what we have done in the past 10 years?
Well,
when
I mean,
in the past we took foreigners as scouts. Yesterday when I heard him, he said, well, I'm going to send Capitano to, let's say, to go and look at the match and tell me the player. And I said, okay, how different.
But to the extent that, look,
I've done that all the time, but we have not achieved any results.
In the past, when the foreign coaches were in the country, the assistant coaches like Max Okunedu were doing that job. Now he says that Stephen Appiah will do that. Max Okunedu has been demoted.
But there was
Max Okunedu is now the second assistant.
Exactly.
Ibrahim Tanko is now the first assistant.
But there was a time when the late Jose Atukwe were scouts as well, and they raked in some dividend.
So you think Stephen Appiah
because the boys respect Appiah. They warm up to him. Samuajan and all of them, they warm up to him.
Thierry,
have
we gotten any results from scouting for players in the past 10 years? Has the Black Star, the team, been able to pick even a gutter-to-gutter trophy? Have we? It has not worked for us.
The results, the results of scouting isn't exactly trophies. The result of scouting is about building the teams, about injecting new blood.
Building
and I think we've done that.
Building the team for what?
For results. And the results will then propel you for the trophies. The trophies have been evasive, but the results have been good.
Shake his head.
What do you think?
I think the GFA has image problems, and to appease the Ghanaian populace, decided to go in for Kwesi Appiah.
Oh, you are.
And
so you think it's not exactly the best of decisions, but it's just to appease the Ghanaian populace.
Yes. But you see, partly, and then secondly, I believe if Kwesi has learnt his lessons, I think one of his challenges is meeting up to the egos of the players. You would have to do that. The great coaches have done that, and that's what has gotten them this far. You compare his demeanor and say, because of how he comes across. Arsene Wenger is also very calm, but gets the results. So it's not too much of what you show out there.
Arsene Wenger,
yes,
he's a very calm figure. Very calm figure. Well, except the fact that he almost spotted Jose Mourinho at the touchline.
Yes,
but what results that Arsene Wenger brings?
Yes,
but of course,
Pep Guardiola has done a lot, but now he appreciates the fact that placing fourth in the EPL is a lot.
But Thierry, you see, I'm not surprised at all. You see the age range, Bright and Gideon, same age range. Me and you, same age range. So we are thinking generational.
We'll remain optimistic about
anyway, the discussions definitely will keep going on, but we'll bring you all the details to the story and many more at 8 a.m. when the sports team sets back here in the studios. Remember, we're also going to be bringing you some reactions from some other journalists on this particular appointment, and also the backroom staff of Kwesi Appiah and the targets that he's been given as Black Stars coach, winning the AFCON in Cameroon 2019, and of course helping Ghana qualify to the World Cup, which is a long shot considering how Avram Grant left the team or the country. But also we are going to be looking at some other football matters. In England, Chelsea may have wrapped up the title, but there's another battle going on, the top 4 places. Tottenham Hotspur have already sealed their place in the top 4. Manchester City all but did that last night after beating West Bromwich Albion by 3-0. So it leaves just one spot for 2 teams, Liverpool and Arsenal. 1 game remaining for each side, but Liverpool are in pole position. They are 4th already, 1 point above Arsenal, but their game is a bit easier as well, facing Middlesbrough, who are already relegated. Everton are going to be coming up against Arsenal, and should Arsenal win that and Liverpool fail to win, then there is going to be a real battle for the last place in the top 4 places. And also finally, we are going to be bringing you some updates in the world of the NBA as well, because the finals currently ongoing. And for those who always get confused with NBA, let me just summarize it for you. There are 2 different conferences in the NBA. Like this country, we have the northern sector and the southern sector, and then the teams will play in a regular season in the southern sector, some other will play in the northern sector, and then the champion of both sectors will come together and play the finals. Now they are playing the finals of both sectors. So after this particular series, 7 games in each final, after this particular series, there is going to be the main final between the two champions, the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. That was easy, right? Yeah, so, you know, the Golden State Warriors are currently leading the Western Conference. The Eastern Conference finals have not started between, you know, the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And of course, we'll bring you up to scratch with everything that's been happening over there. But last night, Steph Curry and the Warriors were in action, and we'll let you know all the details. And of course, another record that they have set. They keep setting records, and almost every time, we'll bring it right here to you on your doorstep. My name is Thierry Nyan. We'll catch you at 8 a.m.
The local league is on break.
Yeah, it's on break.
What do our boys do when they're on
break?
break?
They are training. It's a lot about physical exercises.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, in our local setting, it's something we normally don't say on TV.
They don't drink.
They don't exactly do what you expect them to do on a break. Sure. Yeah.
They drink.
But you don't exactly want to go into the details.
Okay. We have understood you.
Banku and
But
tilapia.
you're a big man.
You think so?
Yeah, you're a big man.
I like your jacket.
Only that we are apart. I mean, Chelsea and Man U, you know, but you're a big man.
That reminds me, Man United, what's happening with you guys?
Please, we'll take a quick break at the sport. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Hello and good morning. My name is Anthony Jackson. Now, the Civil and Local Government Staff Association, CLOSEC, has rejected the apology by the Finance Minister and have asked him to rather apologize to the President. The association, which wants members' names back onto the payroll, is of the view the Finance Minister should have rather conducted proper investigations into the payroll fraud before the deletion of names.
CLOSEC said the apology by the Finance Minister was misplaced, but rather should have been directed to the President, Nana Akufo-Addo. It stated that the President was misinformed on May Day of about 26,000 ghost names on government payroll, whose deletion had saved government over 400 million cedis.
The apology, I think, you should address to the President. The President was given certain information that he came on air to make certain pronouncements on May Day. So, if any apology, I think first and foremost must go to the President.
The association insists the Finance Ministry comes out with the amount spent on previous cleaning of the payroll and why the exercise should be awarded on contract instead of engaging personnel in the civil service.
Then people should be prosecuted because those names have been verified and validated. Hold them responsible. That's what you should do. If they've done what is wrong, then they have to be fired. But you are not doing that, and then you are just saying that they are ghosts and they are ghosts. Who are those who validated those names? We want to know. There is nothing to the best of our knowledge. It's a scam.
Isaac Bampoado urged the Finance Ministry to stick to its mandate and reinstate his name within the next 2 weeks.
As of now, still, I have not received any salary.
Meanwhile, President of the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, CCT, Kinali, is asking the Controller Accountant General's Department to supply data on those who have been paid out of the 26,000 names.
Out of the 13,000 plus, how many of them are involved in those that were paid yesterday? And how many are still outstanding? And those that are outstanding, is it now confirmed that they are ghosts?
Although the association agrees on the existence of ghost names on the government payroll, it is of the view those names deleted were not part.
Sometimes it baffles our mind how some of such people still continues remains on the payroll. So yes, there could be ghosts on the payroll, but what we are saying is that for now, the majority of the people that they are saying are ghosts are not.
Another Chief Executive Officer of the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation, Alfred Obimboateng, has denied awarding a new contract to a private company to license tanker owners who left petroleum products. He insisted the process had not changed and is still transparent.
Executive officer was reacting to an allegation by the Tanker Owners Association that Boss has contracted a private company to give out license which was alien to them.
The accusation is wrong. We have received over 550 applications for haulage, and we cannot give all of them contract at the same time. So what we are doing is that we want some to operate for second quarter. First quarter was done by my predecessor.
He said BOST only introduced new methods to monitor operations of bulk road vehicles.
Now we are doing rotation because we have quite enough. No company is bringing more than 5 tankers at a go. It's minimum 1, maximum 5.
On Monday, the Tanker Owners Association threatened to ground their 3,500 bulk road vehicles if their grievances were not addressed. The association accused BOST of unilaterally abrogating the existing process of the haulage of petroleum products by the tanker owners who are certified by the National Petroleum Authority, NPA.
All right, hoarding and overpricing of premix fuel are now considered serious offences punishable by imprisonment and fines under the new premix fuel regulation. The National Premix Fuel Committee has warned fisher folks managing the distribution of premix fuel to use the product judiciously in adherence to the new regulations.
The National Premix Committee, NPC, was established by the government in July 2009 to oversee the administration and distribution of premix fuel, a highly subsidized petroleum product. Landing Beach Committees, LBCs, were formed to empower fishermen to run premix fuel stations at the landing beaches and the proceeds used in developing fishing communities. Achieving this aim has, however, been thwarted and abused by middlemen who engage in the diversion and hoarding of the product and selling it at exorbitant prices to fishermen.
These were issues that were affecting the fishing industry. We need to ensure that the fuel that has been allocated to the various landing beaches get there, so that the oil marketing companies will not have the leeway of diverting in connivance with the drivers and in connivance with the LBCs, the landing beach committees.
Members of the various landing beaches committees, comprising canoe owners, chief fishermen and fishmongers, have been sensitized on their core functions and mandate as per the new LI. They were also updated on tracking and monitoring petroleum products.
Laws are there. Anybody who flouts the law will be dealt with in accordance with the law. Ensure that the fisher folks get what they need to get for their personal development and for the development of this nation.
53% of proceeds from premix fuel is allocated to communities for developmental projects.
And the project coordinator of the Greater Accra Metropolitan Area Gamma Water and Sanitation Project, Engineer George Asiedu, has dismissed assertions that the project has failed. He stressed the new World Bank rating of the project for May 2017 rated the project as being moderately satisfactory, adding they are making steady progress.
The Greater Accra Metropolitan Area Gamma Water and Sanitation Project is a $150 million World Bank funded project which took off in August 2014 and is expected to end in 2018. It is to help address open defecation and other sanitation concerns with the objective to increase access to improved sanitation and improved water supply in the Gamma, with emphasis on low-income communities. Reports suggest no significant progress has been made, as the component that is to provide households with sanitary facilities at half the price has been able to construct only 900 out of the projected 12,500. Some 260 schools were also to benefit from lavatories, but these projects at various levels at completion have stalled.
Really, the project is on course, because once you have not finished a project, you cannot say it has failed. Just in May, the World Bank has come out with their rating, and they have upgraded the project from moderate unsatisfactory to moderately satisfactory. How can you call such a project failure?
Engineer George Asiedu hinted of talks with the World Bank to ensure a further reduction of the facility.
We are thinking of getting more support for the beneficiaries, knowing that even the 50%, some of them find difficult to beat. But whichever way, the beneficiary will still have to pay some amount. We are even thinking of raising it to about 70%.
The project coordinator admitted
The school's component stalled due to the World Bank environmental and safety safeguard standards, which have now been met.
Hygiene, the women, when they are in their menses, the place to change. And so this is conforming to Ghana education standard. We've gone past the stage now. We have approval to continue. And we are hoping that within the next 4 or 5 months, almost all the school toilets would have been completed. And the school children will have access to improved toilets.
The World Bank has agreed in principle to extend the project duration by some 18 months to ensure targets are met.
Well, that's it for news this morning. Handing over to Amma, Bright, and Johnny.
Yes, sir. Thank you for mentioning my name. And,
in a long time, we haven't heard
okay. It's okay. I mean, I prayed for him yesterday. So. but we're ranting about ECG and whether or not their problem is due to the rot of some, the negligence of some officials. I must say, before we go into that, right by TV3, is it the Information Service Department? Yes, right by between Afrikiko and TV3, that big compound. The wires have been touching since last Thursday. It's been giving us on and off in TV3, 3FM, Unia FM, and the companies surrounding Prudential Bank, everybody. We've been calling ECG. They are not minding us. So that is negligence of duty. Because we call 0302 611 611, they tell you, oh, we know about the problem, and that's it. Since Thursday, I don't know if they're expecting that our gadgets will get spoiled before they come to us, because thankfully we are running on generator. But how about those who can't run on generator?
And even generator is expensive.
Exactly. So ECG, boss, good morning to you. ECG engineer, good morning to you. Don't be a Sergeant Lee. Don't sit down and drink tea, please. Come and fix the lights. Thank you. Now, on to what we are. ECG boss, Boko there. Thank you. Okay, so we're ranting. Guide us through the...
Yeah,
All
so
right.
we're ranting, like you said, about ECG. We want to know the ECG rot incompetence of some government institutions, and we have George Quayne in with a story there.
The Energy Minister, Emmanuel Boakye-Jako, has uncovered ECG's rot. The minister has expressed shock at the desk stock of the company, which seems to be worsening day by day. He has attributed this to faulty metering system and employee negligence. Here's a company that has 130 million a week in receivable, but can only collect 50 million cedis. Their debt accumulation on monthly basis is 66 million cedis. And so we know that of the ECG. What about other government institutions? Moving forward, what can be done to ensure rot in such agencies are curtailed? This is Daily Rant. Let's keep talking.
Because me way me the car ECG fa the bills no nam around only me fear me team no aba beje sika oba otumi fru pole no akate o line e wo pole ho because you are criminal 90 days in a whole institution like ECG and other institutions say ya bind there na ECG into mean die o moka and it will be useful like 20 good years to me account for what for it today be just a copy bosia e di be hye adwuma mu ye bi just a copy bosia e di be hye adwuma mu ye pe bosia sa na ansa na etumi aye ne yesese ye dia me for so ma we ye nko ye nim me hu sa ban adwuma no seriousness nim hye obi tumi be adwuma na onam sami tumi hu se nipa no o ye errand man o se woman o on tenase okọ no ba he wo be ko ba bi no obi tumi ti ho no work loto tutu kwa say e bobo be hu say the TV abesu opo no mu nyino ma group no mo hwe bo.
That's patriotism. I mean, sure boy, Ghana abobo.
Patriotism may you good. Into what you when you no time do say so here adwuma say fu kuma mu ne oye adwuma. Menim say adwuma de e ye den wan tumi nsi uti ase ase wo ye adwuma da. Wo ye nipa be home. Into otumi home ne de say adwuma bransu do ese say wo ye. Ye ni hafo. Into holiday ba ne ni age. Awa Ghana obi apeso akoda. No kono mo nsa keke. Ebe de na ECG for omo mboka.
We know there is rot since Adam. At government department and especially ECG, because we know they are not up and doing. But I don't blame the workers too, but I blame the management. The supposed people who manage those government authorities. I blame them seriously, because you see ECG, you take power from VRE.
to sell and then get money back. And every now and then, we are saying that they are not able to collect whatever they are taking from ECG, let alone to pay. So we are accumulating debt every now and then, and we are here. And you have come to tell me that you have uncovered a rot. I don't see this to be a news, because I knew all this while that the ECG is not up to tax.
ECG for they say, but government institution they just because air condition whether our more or she will more yasu the rate to me free no ejako because you know betua. First community CP you must say air consult for Saturday air consult as your lucky gate. And I'm waiting energy keke. ECG for no me.
So would you be surprised if your pamo boss no? Because when you saw showing now,
or another boss in there on your way over training na. Nyama na training na nipa was all business boa. Obi ani down otumu so wo mekwa medum kane ano de bia mo ya chache ECG for ne. But so unum say government we no maso esi so enyo no betua ono bosu no obeji ne pay nti no ono dem fa na ho de a omo na mo di abro enye ECG fo
ye ka management ne ye say director manager de ba HR no ho anwan na enwo na wo ye nkrofo ro wo boa madwuma no kodo but if a private work na management ni ye good eboa menyimpa no de niska ye adwuma no okonenyim but so panda aban na adwuma da no obi afanda ye normal nti tambe otumopon otum kan graphic otum jako didi 2 hours otum jako ye ne bibia no nka sen or bo adwuma no fom so aban da nto no mfa no ne enka da aban da ya your mind because you tukwan ye ko outside ye hu na adwuma na ye na outside no the adwuma na ye no your mind nto mind mfa ntufo ban ye bodu ye kroma na ye me pe nto bi bejai air condition na sida no yin dan ni mu not the asol kind graphic na condition ni so obi bejai sida be 2 days boko no bi yin ho obi tinedman mo do ye adwuma no be 2:30 no happen Wednesday and now when you look at Thursday okay Friday on Monday on Tuesday and Sunday waba on my ben yet to me yanka san ye boy enwabolo
e ka say rot no man cover now you will see that a betima ye say people are losses yeah we are electricity and I'm telling you
there's also illegal connection everywhere.
So losses need so many factors. They can seriously minimize the losses, but nobody is doing any effort because
look
benefits them.
Look at their receivable in a week, 130 million cedis, and they can only collect 50 million cedis.
That to tell you that they don't need more workers to come and do this. So, but somebody who has to do some work, the person is not seriously doing anything. Yet he takes pay and big fat salary and allowances, and it is your books is telling you should go for such amount, and you have not been able to do it years upon years, and then you claim you are a manager. Oh Jesus Christ! Is it not sad? Why do you call yourself a leader of such a group? You should be ashamed of yourself. Because if indeed this exists on your books and you are not doing anything and you still claim that you want to be in that chair, come on.
Let me chip in this. You know, somewhere in the Western world, it's easier for heads like this to just say resign for poor, performance. But here in Ghana, I think it's very difficult for us to resign.
No, it has been our nature because it's like the way the people we employ them. We bring in politics and favoritism. So you see, they just came, everybody go. They bring in their folks, and it is just like boys. It's a game. They are playing games with us.
George, at the prime pedets are saying there, no braku feel kade. Say up on the day, Nimpan wa from them ye paying no shads no da. Tamben or ube juman. Tamben a point. Assassin. That and Angas over and all about the girlfriend to care anymore. And so Nangas when your time. Aunt Ned Menu. Because Obana na good that board no do. Assassin. Into Nangas say your man called Bonimpo. And I take man secretary. Assassin is the man of Tumpono on Tumpono and Fano. Yes, the word Nabam Yakan. But wow, I'm off with what to say then. Eshim. On your fed or Robandam. But Ghana. Once he started, 8 o'clock and 5 o'clock. 3 o'clock, no be a parking bag, no.
Because we be no bear.
Be no bear.
Never be one more bear.
Assassin, be more or checking them. Man's in a point, metro clock and 3:30. Because in Banaga's over there, no about 9. 9, all the one for 1 hour. Work and graphic 1 hour, and son of a 10 table, no only here was no, Wakajo or Wabre. Into all coffee. Now about 3:30, all coffee. As some dog, fear no one, all quite TV no and I WhatsApp no come. Assassin, into mine, Yankasan, here, mine from. We are not ready. We as a people, we are not ready to see this country go forward. Abro, yeah, abrofu, papa. And then the losses in the back. We all know. We are not patriotic. And there's no law punishing anybody in this part of the world. So we always get worse because there's no law that punishes us. So there's no way we can be straightened.
Okay, you know the private sector does well than the government sector.
It is
because there's some motivation there, it's not good. And so I would have to exhibit this lukewarm attitude.
No, you see, we've been saying this all the time. So for me, I wasn't having any problem when they claimed when they said they were privatizing ECG. These things we should have thought of it long ago. Or probably we should have done some reforms in decentralizing the way we share our bills in this part of our world. They've concentrated the thing to one central place, and nobody seems to be controlling anybody.
This year, you say ECG and ABBA, but to other government institutions, they also have similar roles. How can we ensure such roles are curtailed?
See, it is human beings who we are engaged with. Well, government receipts, then time, now, then when they realize, then they shift it to the banks. Formally, when you want to do passport, you want to do whatever.
Okay, how often do you want to see such institutions audited? How often do you want them to be audited?
Oh, my brother, the auditing can be done on daily basis. But if the loopholes, we don't identify them, they can still be rot. ECG, from chief executive officer to the manager, to managing director, to HR, to who are trading, you miss a day. A Juma pay in worry and office. What to them? No, my friend will go on. Shall I seriously? I don't know. I say you need education. Say you boy, be paying a pay. That is the problem. This is what it feels
like. Anyway, so you had a rant. I know you're also ranting because ECG has not been fed to anyone yet.
Have you ever?
Good morning.
Have you ever had the unfortunate incident of your meter, a faulty meter, and you want them to come and replace it? They put you in the bucket of a truck.
I
know.
You
go and wait at the head office
till they get to
then they put you in the bucket of the truck.
They bring you back.
You around and they tell you, oh,
tomorrow.
Or they come to you and they say your meter is faulty. You owe them some amount of money and you have to pay. And then you go there with the money. Who to collect the money?
It's the problem. I think exactly the bureaucracy when it comes to ECG is annoying.
Yeah, and we're not bastardizing the ECG, but these are things that happen. The realities of the situation, things that happen. Interesting.
Because you willingly want to pay.
Yes.
But the work you have to do in actually paying, you might as well have stayed home. So I think some, regulations, something has to be done about it. If you are there to collect revenue, make sure the system is friendly so that people can easily pay what they have to do.
And see how it goes.
That discussion never comes to
so that you can buy shares.
Yes, you buy shares and run it well.
Anyway, interesting.
I'm sure they are saying you think it's easy.
Bright will return with the news review segment here.
Right.
So I wish I could read a few of your messages, but we'll do that after the break.
The Daily Graphic starts this morning and says moves to halt gas explosions, refill at filling stations to be banned. The story is on page 3. And then minority petitions U.S. Securities Exchange Commission over $2.5 million bond. Occupy Ghana petitions AG over charges against 5 Chinese. And also on the front page of the Daily Graphic, government to hand over mission schools to religious bodies. Daily Guide, a merry $510 million power deal to go. That's the story here. And then blows over Kojo Bonsu $4.4 million park. It comes with his photograph. And then tear gas at DC confirmation. The Independent says J. Kufuor Foundation helps zero hunger target. Government to bulldoze dangerously sited fuel stations. That's according to the Energy Minister. The Economy Times says government poised to slash down public debt stock, and GIPC to announce new reforms. The Gold Street Business talks about 70% contract to Ghanaians will be strictly implemented, government assures, and 25% tax on rural banks limits growth target. These are some of the papers I have with my guest this morning. To do the talking to my extreme left is the NPP's Ashanti Regional Secretary, Mr. Sampai. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hope you're doing good.
By His grace.
Thanks so much for joining us. And then also I have with me the Member of Parliament for the Zap Zugu constituency, a member of the ND's Honorable Al-Hassan Umar. Good morning too.
Good morning.
And thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Great. Now let's begin with a lot of issues about the energy sector, a lot of the papers talking about that sector this morning. Let me quickly go back to the BNFT this morning has some issues about ECG. We need to quickly deal with it. The story on page 3 says that government debt collapsing ECG, not inefficiency. That's the story. The story says that the Public Utilities Workers Union of the Trades Union Congress has reacted strongly to claims by the Energy Minister, Mr. Boakye Jako, that ECG is woefully underperforming in collecting bills owed by consumers. The minister, who was speaking to journalists and officials from the MIDA project after the authority inauguration of a 7-member stakeholders committee in Accra, is quoted as saying that out of 130 million cedis weekly collection, ECG only manages 50 million. But the Public Utilities Workers Union are angry about what the minister said. According to them, ECG's currently average weekly collection is 104 million as against a target of 130 and not 50. Again, they are suggesting that the debt that is owed by government, MMDs, is what is killing ECG and not ECG's inefficiency to collect their debt. So, for instance, the paper says that the Public Utilities Regulatory Union is saying that if there's any accumulation of debt, then it is just coming from the angle of MMDs, and this has come about because of political directives not to disconnect MMDs because government has promised to pay the bills of MMDAs. So the story goes on and on and on and on. Honorable Umar, let me begin with you. So ECG's problem will remain for long term, but here the minister says that ECG's inability to collect their debt is what is killing it. But the workers said no, and the government owes ECG more than what other institutions owe, and so government should pay its debt, and ECG will be back on its feet.
Yes, I think what I'm not understanding is that under the the John Mahama administration, there was a directive that asks all MMDAs to use the prepaid. And I know at that time at the Ministry of Communication, when we fixed ours, we paid almost like 5,000. It was a lot of money, and I think it still continues that way. So I'm not aware of the MMDAs which are left, or the ministries yet to be connected or yet to replace their prepaid. But as far as I know, I'm concerned, I think that we did ours. So yes, government may be blamed, and I hope that and pray that the minister will also listen to the Public Workers Union so that they can work together. They are stakeholders. And as people who are working day and night to make sure we are connected and the DUMSO get reduced, it's high time the minister pay attention to them and talk to them, listen to them, and go to work so that we can save the ECG and the DUMSO. On the other hand, if you look at the minister may also be right in the effort of ECG collection process. I think that if you look at the leakages, sometimes not even the leakages in the system is so huge that ECG needs to deploy modern technologies whereby they can sit at one place and be able to monitor house or which areas are connected, but they are not paying. So minister may be right, but it needs to be, it's a stakeholder issue.
Right.
Minister needs to discuss with them, and so that if he's bringing any modern ideas or system, cutting-edge technology to improve revenue collection, I think they need to do that.
To take a look at that. Mr. Sampai, so ECG's challenges, inefficiency on the part of workers or government debt?
Thank you very much, and a good morning to our viewers. You see, this UCG energy sector wahala have been with us for several years. Yesterday when I listened to the energy minister, I was kind of taken aback. Now, as a customer of the institution, the Electricity Company of Ghana, I also experience what we all go through. Yes, the inefficiencies is a huge factor. We talk about inefficiencies not only in the collection of tariffs or revenue, but also as to how to check illegal connection and power losses. When they lose power from transmissions, I don't have so much big deal with that.
Right.
But when it's you sit down, you allow people to use the power illegally, and at the end of it all, a whooping sum is lost to the state. It's where I have concerns. We have heard about stories where people also come to the homes of private persons to retrieve or to disconnect, and they take some pittance and they leave the people off the hook. And this is also something. Yes, it's also important that we also look at the fact that state, let's use state.
Right.
I'm not going to talk about government. The state, because since Kwame Nkrumah started up to date, yes, they say that we own the Electricity Company of Ghana. State owes and we are unable to pay. Honorable Umar rightly said it. There was a directive some years that MMDS use prepaid, but go to most of the departments and they are still on the postpaid. So if government is supposed to pay, that is the problem they also have. How much do they budget for the payment of such utilities? Is it adequate? And how do they also manage the system? You go to some institutions, close of the day, 10 p.m., 11 p.m., noon, every time you find, when workers are not there, you find air conditioning, ACs and the fans, power, electricity, bulbs, everything working as if the place is a 24-hour facility for the consumption of these. So at the end of it all, they also accumulate huge debts for the state to pay. Right? The attitude of some of the workers is also important to look at. That are they being as honest as they're supposed to do? And are they running the institution as they are supposed to do? So let's look at it from that angle. It's a collective thing.
It should not be a blame game where the minister says you are inefficient and the workers said no, you owe us, that is why we are inefficient.
Because right, when the minister sees inefficiency and talks about it, let's accept it as a fact. Because it's a fact that we are losing power unnecessarily.
Okay, so
it's also a fact that the actions or inactions of some of the workers lead to revenue losses to the state. So if they talk about inefficiency, it's not a matter for PUW to come out straight up and put the blame also on the doorstairs of the state. So let's look at all the factors and that we can reach something good that's going to be beneficial to all of us.
For instance, Honorable Umar, I'll come to you in a minute. If the workers say that we are inefficient because we don't have the resources to acquire the gadgets that we need to detect illegal connection, won't they be right?
They will be right,
because
yes, you owe us, but also government been previously making efforts to equip the EC. I quite remember before President Kufuor left power, there was a facility of about $540 million or so to let the Electricity Company of Ghana to revamp and to rehabilitate some of their transmission points and replacement of overhead cables and all that. You see, so government, and I also remember the NDC under Prof. Mills and Mr. Mahama also did something by looking for some funding for that institution. But so when you look at the effort of government in dealing with these matters, and still you have those problems there or the challenges there, definitely everybody will be right to point out to inefficiencies at the place. Because if you are giving about $500 million to look at issues and we still have this problem on our hands, definitely any analyst will point out to some
you wanted to come in.
Yes, I think, thank you. One of the other systems that we need to really look at is the recently discussed digital address system. You see, it is also another part, another thing that will help in the collection process. But I was discussing the ECG problems with a friend, and he said no. The ECG issues comes to two. One, overstocking or inventory. They make a lot of expenses on inventory. A few years ago, you could say, I mean, there was fire in Kumasi, warehouse. Several meters were thousands. Done, yeah. These are all leakages that ECG must do something called on demand.
When they need it, then they go for it.
Yes, they should get other outsourcing companies in Ghana so that these companies do supply them only on demand and stop overstocking. Because these things, as we continue to use cutting-edge technology, phase out.
They phase out.
And at the end of the day, when you overstock absolute equipments, they're useless. They become useless. So what I would also suggest is that from now, maybe from today going, the minister should do an audit of all MDAs and ministries to see which ministry or MDA is not connected, is not using prepaid. And if they owe, no minister should then ask ECG not to disconnect them. So that governments stand up or set up and pay all its debt. And let's see whether the minister is right or the workers' union is right.
You have been in government. Is that possible? And the Public Utility Workers Union, for instance, are saying that sometimes interference by political functionaries can stop them from disconnecting government institutions that owe. So is that possible?
Well, it's possible.
Sure.
Why not?
Kolebu is about to be disconnected. The president calls and says stop it. It is possible?
No. Kolebu is an essential service provider.
Even the ministers.
No. Kolebu is an essential service provider. There's no any surgery done at the ministry. No ministry.
So the ministry can be disconnected.
So the ministry can be disconnected. If a minister takes, assuming, let's use this example. If a ministry decides to take a conference to a hotel, and the hotel doesn't pay its bills, whilst they are sitting in the hotel and the lights goes off, they have to come out.
I see. Mr. Pan, is it possible that certain ministries can be taken off? Even though some ministers are saying that, well, don't take it off.
Taking off the
disconnect power.
Disconnect power. You see, we have every institution is a sensitive institution. As much as we all want to use power 24/7. So I believe that, yes, not any institution should be taken off power, but the ability to pay and to pay on time is what is important. The Ministry of Health have facilities, Kolebu, Komfanochi, Zabzugu Hospital yes. And all that are all places that we need power 24/7. I remember when this Dumso was harsh on Ghanaians, some hospitals were forced to revert to the generation by using plants. Some private persons also provided generators to some clinics for them to run on. So if you have, it tells you that yes, every ministry should be running 24/7 on electricity. But the efficiency in the usage of the power is one premium. Because you cannot leave the offices at 5 p.m., 6 p.m. and let the ACs run when people are not there. Okay, so two, they also look at budget line. How much are receiving for the payment of utilities. If, for instance, the Ministry of Finance has a budget line of 10,000 Ghana cedis for a year, let's assume for a year, they need to look at the usage, because once you have the points supplied by the Energy Commission, you can look at the gadgets that are going to consume this much and all that, and do a little calculation on the quantum of energy that you use to measure usage. But we take state for granted, and we do.
My brother, sadly, I'll tell you what the MPP has done. Even the hospital, they've not spared them. They've not spared them in terms of budgetary allocation.
They cut their budgetary allocation.
It's across board. It's across board.
So they can't pay their bills. That's what you're saying.
Most of them may not be able to pay their.
No, but Mr. Pine says that if they can put in proactive measures and know that, look, air condition, this is the point. Fund, this is the point. They can.
No, that one is attitude.
Can maximize what the little they have.
Yes, that one is attitude. The attitude we take from our homes to offices are what affects us. It's attitude. How many of us leave our home and make sure that our gadgets are off?
All right.
I do.
No, it's attitude.
All right. Let's move on to the, let's see on the energy sector. The Finder this morning says 8 power deals to be deferred. The story says government is unable to cancel 8 power purchase agreements deemed excess capacity because the financial implications range between $400 and $500 million. Now, the earliest any of the 8 projects would come on stream is 2019, by which time it will not be needed since it will be excess capacity. Therefore, the only option left for the government is to defer the completion dates of these projects, and some will be deferred to as far as 2030. That's the issue. But the Daily Guide has another story that says that a merry 510 deal to go. It says that it is emerging that the deal involving Africa and Middle East Resources Investment Group, otherwise known as Ameri Group, which had become the talk of town, will be abrogated by the NPP. A highly placed government source said the president has decided to cancel the contract signed between the John Mahama administration and Ameri for the supply of 256 megawatts of power, because the deal is a rip-off, with Ghana losing about $150 million. So, Mr. Sampai, let me start with you. Now, the Finder says 8 power deals will have to be deferred because we have enough excess capacity. Ameri, we're told, is going by the Daily Guide. Now, is it then a matter of improper planning?
Of course, right. You see, when you look at some of these deals that were signed, especially this Ameri and the rest, some of us and a lot of Ghanaians had issues with, especially the take-or-pay system, that you use it, or you don't use it, you're going to pay for. Then when we're talking about it, when the General Electrics and the rest were ready to provide that $250 million for the same capacity, and we're going in for the Ameri $510 million, people were raising questions. But you know, the hardliners in the NDC thought, yes, let's solve Doomso with this policy. Over 5,000 megawatts, that would be excess, and that would be for government to pay. It's also an important thing to consider. You see, according to the ministry, we're going to look at about 10,800 megawatts after 5 years,
right?
In which the state or Ghana will need about 5,000. The NDC, we're talking about going to import power, export power. Yes. So, who is going to buy that power? Togo, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire. Can we extend it to Niger and all that? What's the cost implication in doing all of these things? You see, so when we sit on platforms and begin to fantasize and look at the huge things where people believe because of some motivation or something that they will get, that they let's put in place and sign all of these contracts. Because when you look at the number of contracts, about 20 of these contracts.
So you're suggesting that we can't export the excess power?
We can, but what's the feasibility of it? It's we're taking power.
But already we are exporting power.
Some to Togo and to I think Burkina Faso and Cote d'Ivoire. But to what extent would they also need the power from us? Because what's the capacity? What's the capacity of Cote d'Ivoire, for example? How much would they need from us? Are they going to take about 1,000 megawatts from us to add up to what they have already, or they have excess that they can also sell to us? What about Togo? What are the people that we are dealing with? So we need to be proactive in all that we do.
Can't we take a look at Nigeria? Can Nigeria be a market? Looking at the way its power sector, we're told.
No, it could be a market for us. But let's look at the immediacy of what we are talking about now. That whether we pay or not, and also according to the story, the shadiness of some of the deals that were cut by the previous government as to who gets what and who provides what for the energy sector, especially in the provision of electricity. So it's important that, yes, 5 years going to pay that much. Some of the contracts have been abrogated too. We saved us about over $300 million US dollars. I mean, it's important. All right. So whenever that we go into ventures, let's look at the viability. Let's consider the benefit to the state rather than to individuals and those who got themselves involved in these pacts or these agreements. Because the Mary is a classic example. All of us, even government, the previous government had time over and over to come and justify to Ghanaians why they had such an agreement with that group. Mr. Addison's committee also came up with their findings on this, and they felt that, yes, Ghana had been shortchanged.
Is it not taking too long to abrogate this Ameri thing if it is indeed
right? I believe
it's impossible.
I believe there's a possibility. If it's impossible, why are they not looking at it?
It has not been too long since the committee was set up, and we're still talking about its abrogation.
Of course, committees are set up, reports are written. They give it to technical teams to evaluate before the recommendation and implementation of the recommendations. So they wouldn't rush into it. They look at the legal implications of all that. If you are going to pay, how much are we going to pay? If you just suppose,
what legal implications is there?
No, if it's fraudulent.
But so I mean, if it is fraud,
lawyers will tell you fraud vitiates everything. But when you write contracts, it also becomes binding. That's one thing that we need to understand. When contracts are signed, it becomes binding. The fraudulent nature of it will come from the people who did it. And these are the people that we go for. Because if I'm the minister or I'm an agent for state, that I go to inflate the cost so that I benefit or a group benefits, that's a different matter. Okay? But if we feel that deal is bad, yes, we signed the contract already, we look at the legal implications, its abrogation or otherwise is instituted. And those who are involved should be the corporates. And I believe we cannot sit down and allow some of these things to continue. And it's like the soil. If you don't treat it, it's going to fester. And that if you don't take care, it's going to be cancerous and legs will be amputated. So I believe we need to go in as a state, look at it, the benefit to the state or otherwise, because honestly, 10,800 megawatts by 2025, 5 years time, yes, it is good. But when we have excess of 5,000 megawatts, which we are going to pay for,
right?
It's a matter. There's a difference between having the excess power that you are not using and having the excess power that you are using. You have excess power, you are not using it, but take or go.
You are paying for
you are paying for it.
Honorable Ma, so your government signed a deal over 10,000 to be produced when we needed only 5,000. Improper planning. That's what it suggested.
It always takes me back to hear my good friends on the other side still in campaign mood.
We are not in campaign. We are talking about the reality.
Still in campaign mood.
We're talking about the reality.
We don't, you talk, but there are no tangibles. We want you to be practical. You are here to rule. That is why they voted for you. Stop all these complaints and come to reality. In the 70s or early 60s, late 60s, when Akosombo Dam was being constructed, We had excess power.
Are you sure?
But yes, please,
Akosombo,
please. Those, no, when the Akosombo was built, Ghana couldn't use. No,
the
please.
Capacity was bigger than
than
Ghana could.
Yeah, Ghana can use.
I think that's
we
what he means
exported
by
it.
excess power.
We exported it.
Okay.
And today, looking at that power, we are even looking for more.
But the financial
so
agreements
no. They're not different.
Different financial agreements.
Please, we took a loan. We took a loan to build it. Do you understand? Can I finish? We took a loan to build it. And today, the capacity, the population, the national usage has increased over. And so, in investment, when you are investing, you're thinking about future growth. You're thinking about your future. You don't just do it because today you must eat. You think about excess. We are thinking about our grandchildren and their grandchildren. Today, Ghana is the most connected in terms of electricity. And I can say even in Africa, if you look at it, real electrification is the biggest in Africa. Today, we still have a lot of my constituency, not every town is connected or village, but they must also be connected. Are we thinking about them? Yes. And that is why the John Mahama administration put all this thing thinking that in 5 years, we need to grow. Look at Accra. It's expanded. Today, the NPP government is talking about privatization, entrepreneurship, businesses. You think the businesses are going to be mom and pop stores where a child just ran in to buy pop? No. We're thinking about industrialization.
Wouldn't it be too much to have power?
No, we're thinking about industrialization.
You're paying for it and yet you're not using it. I think that's Mr. Pine's argument.
No.
The power is sitting there, over 5,000 megawatts. We're not using it and
well,
yet we're paying for it.
Well, we are also thinking about what? Other neighboring countries. Who would have thought that we would go to Cote d'Ivoire to buy power? But we did. And sometimes we keep buying.
So you're talking about exporting 5,000. Our neighbors that we do business with, Togo, Burkina Faso, and perhaps...
I thought I just heard you mention about Nigeria. Go to Nigeria.
So it's a market you're talking about.
It's a market. West Africa is our 280 million people. It's a market. We are thinking about ECOWAS what? Market. If Africa needs to come together and ECOWAS needs to trade, the trade agreement that is between us should also be expanded. Please. And when you're talking about these contracts, a marriage deal, it's a contract. Give me a break. It's a contract. Even when you put the Edison team, you know what? They flew to Dubai and even forgot what they were doing there. Sleeping and collecting huge sums of money for shopping.
They have advised abrogation of the contract. That's what the paper is saying.
Well, let's see. Because this is a world based on agreement, multilateral, bilateral agreement, and we are a member of trade organization. You can't just abrogate contracts like that.
Even if there's evidence of fraud?
Well, if they can determine that, if they can point it out. Sure.
I see.
Right. You see, I'm not a lawyer, but you can't just, it's good to talk, but put action.
So you think it cannot be abrogated?
Let's see.
You see, when they keep on now the catchphrase.
I'm not defending Mary. I'm not defending the company, but I'm telling you that we are under agreement, trade, bilateral, and all those things. You can't just think that you can look.
The committee said that there's a fraud. I mean, they talk about 150 million cedis that they think that
listen after the
was
committee
illegally paid to.
Have you read what Dr. Donko published? No,
I have.
What did you publish?
No, I don't have it with me now.
No, but you can give us a summary of it. Because I've not read that.
Okay. Well, later. I'll provide that to you.
All right. But it's important to look at some of these things. First of all, if we are looking at these beautiful things by the NDC that we needed to get to everywhere, give them power, what then do so those times? But you see, when people talk about excess power, the experts have looked at industry, domestic usage, and all. when we look at our capacity and what we consume, our consumption, we simply do not look at where we have power alone. But if we're extending electricity to okay, or we are going over to Pembe, all right, or going over to Anyako or to Asemkrom in the western region. All of these are considered. They know the capacity, they know the people there, they know the potential of industry there. So they use all these as consideration for expansion and for looking at the wattage that we are producing.
Can't you sell excess?
We can, but we look at the feasibility of it all. Now we have.
It's not possible.
It's possible.
So why not?
But we look at its viability too. Now, exporting
Think about
power,
your one factor,
exporting power is not just a
district.
matter like importing tomato from Burkina Faso. It's a different thing altogether. Exporting power, electricity.
It cannot be done.
It can be done. It's been done in places. But you see, the matter of comparing Akosombo to these Americans, two different things. Akosombo, we're not looking at any take or pay matter. Yes, we went for loans as much as that we have loans in paying for America and the rest. But we were not to get power idle where we pay for the power. Though the capacity of Akosombo was to generate. We can use 2 turbines, 10 turbines, whatever, the 6 turbines, the total number that we use to put up the generation for people to use. So please, don't, and the catchphrase of the scenarios, you are not in the campaign mood. We are looking at reality. We come to power, we find shady deals in contract that involve the companies.
Reality is to work.
We find people being so dubious to extend that nation, the state has lost money, and you talk about it, and people will not tell you you are in campaign mood.
The argument is that the talk is too much. If you find deals that
is why we say we are going. That's why we say we're going to cancel this deal, and he's saying we cannot because it's been written already.
What does it take to cancel a deal? You just go ahead and say that I have cancelled.
No, you look at its legal implications first.
So Mr. Sampai, so for instance, in the power deal agreement, we are told by the finder that Ghana could run into trouble between $400 and $5 million if we went ahead and cancelled it. So we're going to defer it.
Yeah, with some of these deals.
Yeah, some of these deals.
Yeah. So they said some of these have gotten to extend that conclusion that if you cancel, we are going to. So what you need to do is to defer. Okay, that's for the experts.
Those are not shady deals. But you think they are not prudent in managing the energy sector?
Isn't the shady
that have been cancelled about the
my brother, isn't shady being subjective? What do you mean by shady? Shady could be subjective. In the MPP terms, you could look at it to be shady. But
no, we are not looking at the MPP times. If we are able to raise any issues with transactions that you think is shady by the MPP and that we went ahead to do.
No, because we came to.
But we are looking at.
No, we came to work. We came to work. Whatever your issues you had, we just came to work. We looked at it.
Yes. We are looking at contract that have been signed. Okay.
Okay.
We are looking at payments that have been made are being made. All right. That is different from that you suspect there's some deal. Here, when the experts are telling us that we needed to pay this much for this generator, but for some other reasons, we pay so much above even the market price of it. That's what we are looking at. And the contracts. Okay, so please, don't let us assume that.
Let's quickly add this one, then we wrap up on the energy sector because, again, fallout from the policy summit. The energy minister is saying that the power supply in the country will be interrupted due to a planned shutdown of the FPSO Kwame Nkrumah in the last quarter of 2017. Now, it is expected to be shut down for 12 weeks and will affect our ability to export oil and gas to the Abuaze thermal plant. According to Mr. Ejako, not much was said about how to deal with this, but all that we're told is that we could run into some shortages in the last quarter of 2017. I'm trying to find out if perhaps there were some measures to deal with any power shortages we will be going through, but don't seem to see any from the report of the Ghanaian Times. But Honorable Ma, so if we were to run into trouble in the last quarter. From where we're sitting, what quickly can we do to ensure that it doesn't affect us so much?
We are already going through the rationing process. I think every now and then you see that blackout back and forth everywhere.
You sure?
Yes. Even
because
though,
of
even
rationing?
though we're told that we will not have, when Nana takes over, there won't be any doomso. No, seriously, seriously, you can ask people. I live in Adenta. I live in Adenta. The whole of yesterday, we don't have lights. I had to run to the office to charge my phone. You know, today, as I'm speaking, there are several sessions, areas in Ghana. Even
because of
no lights.
Power rationing.
No. Well, you are not announcing it, but we don't have power. Seriously. I'm not, you can ask around.
Because yesterday,
seriously,
3 days ago,
I
had an announcement.
What ECG refers to as localized faults.
That is it. But it's not doomso, it's not power rationing.
Well, there are a lot of terms that people can take to defend
Honorable, when you were leaving power, you told the whole world that you have enough generation.
We did.
Enough generation.
Of course.
So why would we talk about doomso? Because generation deficit, that brings about doomso.
Right.
So if there's no generation deficit, why would we talk about doomso? So if you have power outages somewhere, it's possible that it's because of some faults from the producers.
So it's not
so
deficit.
Don't let us look at doomso. Doomso it's some magic.
But you have pressure.
But we're told that in the last quarter of 2017, we're likely to see doomso, and that's from the energy minister. And so the key thing now is how do we fix it so that it doesn't affect our industries as we saw.
We have to leave that to the expert
to talk about it. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the Daily Heritage this morning. Story talks about 300 rebels set mine inside ablaze. Equipment worth 1.5. That's how the paper describes it. $1.5 million. That's a fallout. The story is from Achima Bekwasi in the Eastern region. We're told that some lawless residents of Achima Bekwasi in the Etua district yesterday attacked a small-scale mining site, Dankwa Investment, and set excavators, generators, and other mining equipment ablaze. Now, the owner of the site says that the equipment are worth about $1.5 million. The residents were numbering about 300. The police is on their heels. We have told that the whole town has been deserted, and the man who owns the site is asking the police to arrest the perpetrators or he will advise himself. That's where the story is. Honorable Sampine, so the fight against Galamsey going back?
Some of these incidents have happened in the past when people take the law into their own hands and do whatever they want to do. As much as we all support the move by government to regularize mining, small scale, large scale, all of it in the country, we also will not wish that people will take the laws to their hands and go to that tangent. According to the report, the man is legally licensed.
He showed us documents.
But I believe maybe the inhabitants also were looking at how he was operating there, because I've learned the site is so close to the Brim and the Densu. The Densu. Also yesterday I heard some reports on some radio stations talking about how the people felt the farmlands and the river bodies there were being destroyed by this. But at least they should have reported. The mindset says when the minister, Honorable Amewu, gave the directives, they've closed down waiting for
the site, yes.
Federal directives, the federal directives from the ministry, where the people attack the site. But we need to go further. If we get the people to, they may tell us, because we heard the story from the operators. If we hear the story of the local guys too, they're going to tell us something else. But I believe that it wasn't that right going to vandalize the place. At least they could have helped in closing down the place for the timing rather than vandalizing it, so that when situations are normalized, when directives are given and people can do regularized mining are allowed. It's an unfortunate situation, but I believe the police and all the agencies involved should work to bring sanity there.
Honorable, so
but let me add that this union also spare others on to go to that extent. If they have, we have task forces around, we have the security agencies around. If they believe that some people are, as in the case of the woman that has been sent to that they were mining in the night, doing galamsey in the night, and they were reported to the agencies that those guys were picked up. So if they also have such things, they need to report to the appropriate authorities so that, yes, action will be taken. That will be detrimental to the sleep. Now that they are sleeping in the bushes and the rest, I think they are also having some little punishment for.
All right. Honorable, talk to me. So the police will need to really apprehend these persons and bring them to book.
Well, as a, I have a mixed feeling. First of all, I disagree with the title that 300 rebels. They are not rebels. They're just citizens, as Nana said, that citizens and not spectators. So they're just citizens trying to do their civil rights, fight for their civil rights. But what I do see is that maybe the minister should have to sit back now and use some two-pronged approach, whereby these galamsey operators will have to be protected to move off-site, both their lives and their equipment, so that these kind of burning or arson will stop. But the police will also need to be cautious, because if 300 people comes out and cause, attack, that's a mob attack.
But
it's going to be very hard to identify
the people and
the people.
Who got the figure trainer for
yes, and this is also, on the other hand, looking at the business point, is that the owner of this equipment, or all equipment people, people who are on site, should ensure that their equipments are insured, so that these kind of things, they will be protected from losses. But I think the title, they need to change it.
Okay. All right. Let's see how the police will deal with that. But let's touch on this one from the Daily Statesman. Fuel stations face demolition. Another fallout from the National Policy Summit. And then that same story is also captured by the Independent. Government to bulldoze dangerously sited fuel stations. So this story is, don't think we even need to read it, because it's an issue that keeps coming, especially at this time of the year when the rains start. Unfortunate incident some years ago, the June 3rd disaster. Now, the Energy Minister says that stations that do not have approval and those that are sited at unauthorized places, even though have permits, we need to take a second look at who granted the permit, how they got the permit, and then take a decision to take them from where they are if we think that they are in a very dangerous location. Mr. Pine, what do you make of it?
Yeah, when I was an assembly member, my assembly, I was the convener for the environmental subcommittee. And we dealt with some of these issues, the siting of fuel stations and all that. We made sure that, especially with the gas, it's sited way from settlements, so that when there's any explosion or there's any infraction, people wouldn't be, the casualty levels would be very minimal. So if you are siting, yesterday I was driving around town and I found somewhere with you have residential apartments in between. I think that this one is less than 50 meters. There's a gas filling station there. So I was looking at it, a tall building with occupants. If there's an explosion, what happens? Who granted that license? Then the places that we have buildings getting closer, some set up those places before
the residents
came around. But who also granted the permits to the people to put up the residential facilities around such places? So it's important. I believe Honorable Jakun is talking about the right thing. Just let me use the opportunity to congratulate those who put up the policy summit. They've done some good job. They've been so insightful the past 2 days that you sit down, you listen to them, listen to policy and people explaining the business community and all that. I mean, it's very important. So when Mr. Jakun was talking about some of these, people were here. Yes, that's good, because we cannot look out to people always getting injured. In recent times, not over a week, Takrade or so, we had the explosion. Was it Labadi or where Honorable Lanche Martin lost the sister in that explosion? Yeah, and on the Kumasi Achim Buakwa Highway too, we had incidents of gas explosions and all that. So it's becoming one too many, and lives should be protected. When yes, people can do legitimate business, but in doing the legitimate business, they should also consider lives to property, the effect on lives and property there. So it's important. The people in charge, the NPA and all that, should also look at it well. Those who've been licensed, if people are found to be done something that's untoward, they should be punished so that to serve as deterrent to others not to get involved in it, because the aspect which people are putting at these facilities, I believe.
Do they all have
the same what?
The same title?
No, they don't. This one says demolition. The Independent says bulldoze.
You see, of course.
Are you do you want to do some semantics?
No, not semantics. You see, because the Democrats, the what property grabbing Democrats now comes to admire. They admire and they want to imitate
the socialist
language and even be dictators. Government to bulldoze.
Okay.
Government to government to bulldoze. You have to, first of all, you have to investigate. You can't bulldoze people.
No, continue with the headline.
No, it's dangerously sited. These fuel stations.
So read it to the full so that people listening to you will understand that.
No. But if you just look at the way, it's despotic. It's dictatorship. These are businesses.
Okay,
please.
Okay, but if I may go first,
if I may go on.
Okay.
Oh my
No semantics. If I may go on. We all the time use that gas station, which unfortunately a few years ago, the Circle. It's a Guel gas station. That station, I think, is over 20 years.
More than that.
More than
20 years.
And so what I would suggest to the minister is rather to take audit to make sure that all people who are given licenses to put up business or gas station should use standards and up-to-date and safety standard and no obsolete equipment in putting up gas stations. We have gas stations in other jurisdictions like the U.S. and other places. Why are they not getting the explosion?
No, but
once you fail to put standards. So the gas station, what they should do is, look, if you get a gas station, they should go all to the gas station. Let's see your tank. What tank are you using? If it's not up to standard, close it and ask them to go and get the standard.
So you're talking about safety standards,
not necessarily the location.
Stations can exist with
exactly.
people living around
safety standards,
is
and working protocol. If this is followed or these are followed, believe me, we will have this thing reduced to the minimum barrel. But as long as we want to cite them using obsolete equipment, using some copy equipment, like you go to in town and you see some pumps, you ask yourself, the pumps are not standards. The pump are not standard. I'm coming on two ways. You understand? So not necessary. I disagree with the bulldoze, but rather to follow EPA, to follow the EPA and make sure that at least the minister, EPA is under
of course, yeah.
Some of the ministers,
the
boss,
the assemblies, all of them are involved.
He's even an appointee of the recent president. It's easy. Summon him and tell him, look, how many gas stations are in Ghana?
The standards.
The standards.
I see them.
The standard.
Okay. Wrap up for me. I've hit the top of the
Yes, you look at the standards, you look at safety measures, but accidents are bound to happen too. There could be a vehicle there to refuel. And
if you follow the standard, the vehicle cannot cause fire.
Who tells you that? Who tells you?
Yes.
And we have been traveling around the globe. And when you go to the UK, you go to the US and other countries.
And I live in those countries.
In the midst of cantonments.
In other places, some stations have restaurants and shops.
Of course.
But the standards.
And even some hotels. I mean,
Yes.
you find them there.
Thank you.
They have the safety standards and all that. But accidents are bound to happen. And in now our situation, we are looking at.
But if you have standards,
but you localize it.
Okay. Gentlemen, I'm so grateful for your time this morning.
But the bulldoze and the demolition,
the communist tactics, the communist tactics, let's change it.
Mr. Sampai is the Ashanti Regional Secretary of the NPP. Grateful to have you this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Honorable Alhassan Umar is member of parliament for the Zab.
And greetings to the people of Zabzugu constituency.
Yes,
thank you for watching.
Grateful for your time, gentlemen.
But whenever I watch that clip of the music awards and people wanted to put their tweets on.
The vagina. All right. We're grateful for your time. Up next is sports. We'll tell you all about Black Stars' new coach, Kwesi Appiah, who begins well. Stay with us. Bye-bye.
Hi, good morning, and it's time to bring you all the latest in the world of sports with me, Thierry Nyan, here on New Day. Now, the new Black Stars coach, Kwesi Appiah, was unveiled at the Ghana Football Association premises earlier yesterday in front of fans and the media. Appiah, in that moment, introduced his backroom staff with whom he will work for the next 2 years. Yav Usulabi was there and has come through with this report.
This was not a traditional press conference. No sponsors backdrop, a Jama group in the background, a bit of chaos, and more seats than journalists and observers. Kwesi Appiah was getting his second introduction, and the attendance was significant enough to convince him that the nation cared.
I believe that you're here because of me, and I really appreciate that. I would like to actually thank, all Ghanaians for giving me this opportunity, more especially to the FA, to having confidence in me and giving me opportunity for the second time.
Appiah also used the opportunity to introduce his backroom staff, which, like many other African teams, is becoming a bit like an ex-player's home. The ex-Borussia Dortmund and Black Star striker Ibrahim Tanko will be Appiah's main assistants. Maxwell Konedu will remain assistant too, but with special focus on the local Black Stars. Former captain Stephen Appiah and goalkeeper Richard Kinson have been reunited after more than a decade as teammates. Kinson will be the goalkeeper's trainer, while Appiah will take up a new role as technical coordinator. Kwesi Appiah explains exactly what the duties will be.
Stephen will not just be there and wait that, okay, we're going to come, so he joins us. I want a situation where I can send Stephen, go to Wa, go and look at a match there and give him information on the particular player so that I can follow up later. And looking at his caliber, if he comes and he tells me, well, I've seen a right back who is doing well, automatically, and I want to see that he gets more involved. At the same time, he's one guy, who's been there, who's been in the system, he's played to a highest level, and he knows the mentality of players who can also help, motivate them in a way.
The two Appiahs and the new look backroom staff will have one objective, and that, to pan on Donald Trump's famous slogan, will be to make the Black Stars great again. Vice President of the FA is clear in his mind what the objectives are.
First is to build a very strong national team, A and B. Two is to qualify us to the AFCON 2019. Three is to win us the AFCON 2019. And four, he should employ his possible best to qualify the Black Stars to the World Cup 2018.
The first game on that journey for Appiah will be on June 11th. It will not provide conclusive evidence on what Appiah's reign will be about, but a great start against Ethiopia won't hurt his reputation either.
So the tasks are clear. He needs to make sure that he at least gets Ghana to the 2019 African Cup of Nations and win it. But you heard that, the Vice President of the Ghana Football Association, George Afriyie, he hesitated when talking about qualifying the Black Stars to the World Cup 2018. He knows how difficult that would be, looking at where we lie in that table alongside the likes of Uganda and Egypt. But, we are still hopeful. Meanwhile, Kwesi Appiah insists there is no need to alter the leadership of his team amid concerns over a split in the Black Stars over captaincy. Appiah told Michael Otieje in an exclusive interview that there is no need to fix what is not broken.
Over the years, it's always been who's been in the national team for a longer period. And for me, it's not about, just changing for changing's sake. If, for instance, Jan comes out, I'm not playing for the national team, that's different. Or he's injured, he cannot be part of the team for years, then, you think of bringing another person on board. If you look at when I brought Jan, it was a time when John Mensah had got injured for some time, and we were going for a competition. Another particular time, we needed, someone to lead the team. And on top of it, John Mensah had then captained for 4 years. So what I did was to push him to the general captain's role, so that in case he comes around out of the injury, then he plays the general captain's role. Same like Olele, when he was around, he was the general captain when we had Stephen Appiah. So it's a matter of time. I don't think there's any need, to rush into doing any changes with your captain.
Still on Kwesi Appiah, talking about what exactly the man has to do. These are some of the things you should be expecting from the man. He's already mentioned the likes of Sule Ali Muntari and Kevin Prince Boateng getting back into the squad. That is if they return to form and if the merits collapse, depending on the situation. Also, Asamoah Gyan is going to be staying as the Black Stars captain, as you just heard from the man himself. Also, there's a steep target when they AFCON 2019 and do the possible best to qualify for the World Cup. And there's a new kin from the ex-players. Ex-Black Stars Richard Kingston, Stephen Appiah and Brahim Tanko are all going to be in there alongside Kwesi Appiah. Some journalists have been sharing their thoughts on what Kwesi Appiah's second stint as Ghana coach will bring and what they expect of him.
In terms of the benchmarks given him, I think that for qualifying for the Africa Cup of Nations and winning, it's in the right direction, because if you look at how we've placed at the Africa Cup of Nations in the last 6 editions, we've been to the semi-finals, and for even Kwesi Appiah played at the South Africa tournament and got to the semi-finals, it tells you that, the next option is to win. If you are not able to win, that will be considered as a huge failure. And I like the way the FA put the World Cup, that he should do his possible best to qualify us for the World Cup. Yes, that I think is good, because if he had gone to say that the man should qualify us to the World Cup at all costs, that will sink into the minds of Ghanaians. And you know what happens when that sinks into the minds of Ghanaians and is unable to do that. What they do is they will call for his exit. So benchmarks, responses from the man, I feel this time he's so matured, looking at how he responded to some of the questions, and I have absolute confidence in him.
Everybody who matters in the Inky fraternity has been here, including the SWAC president. The kind of questions that were asked, the kind of applause he's received for answering questions that to me were even unreasonable. It means that he has the support of the nation and the media at large. But the most important thing is that some of the questions that were asked and some of them that were answered are mere paperworks. These are not the things that are supposed to make the Black Stars great again. What his appointment brings to fore in terms of the national team is that this is the period that the team is at the all-time all-time low, and you need somebody who is loved and adored to bring back the interest and rekindle what people have for the national team. And Kwesi brings back, because he's been a boy of the team before, he's played in local teams, and he's somebody who's conducted himself very well, and that's why he's coming back. I think that generally he's coming at the right time, and if he continues to be that, consistent as he was when he came, and if he puts in the maximum effort as we know him to be, and with the right kind of support from the FA and the ministry and whoever is supposed to support, I think he'll be a success.
Nearer and nearer, we're inching closer to the end of the show, but you know that we've got a lot more excitement for you here on New Day. And coming up is a conversation with Sandra Jekum. She is ISEC Ghana president, and they have a very wonderful program coming up, Ghana Youth Speak Forum. Hi, Sandy. Good morning.
Hello, good
morning.
How are you doing? I'm doing well.
Interesting there. So there's the Ghana Youth Speak Forum that's coming up sometime in May. What exactly is it?
Okay. So the Ghana Youth Speak Forum is going to be the largest gathering of youth in Ghana to talk about the Sustainable Development Goals. It's going to be a knowledge sharing space. It's going to feature keynotes, workshop spaces, panel discussions, and an opportunity fair where young people can capitalize on the opportunities within the country that can help them to develop themselves and also contribute more on the Sustainable Development Goals.
And there's a theme for it, I guess.
Yes, empowering the Ghanaian youth for sustainable development. So the event is going to be all about not entirely all about the Sustainable Development Goals,
right,
but you know, sustainable development.
Are you looking at all the goals, the SDGs?
We are looking to touch on as many of them as possible.
Is that possible? Because we've been trying to grapple with it, and it looks as if we don't have a focal point.
Okay, so during the event, we are going to have keynotes, like I mentioned, then panel discussions, right, and also the workshop spaces. This is a youth-to-youth business, and then also youth to others. So with the goals, we are going to have, during the workshop spaces, we're going to have young people talk about the Sustainable Development Goals, and most importantly, come up with actionable steps that any young person or any person can take to be able to contribute towards sustainable development as a whole.
So you're done with the talk, you're done with the keynote address, the panel meetings, the conversations. You put up a communique, and then what? Because it's not the first time we're hearing of things of this nature.
Exactly.
How do we practicalize the communique that you would issue?
That is even, in fact, for us as organizers, that is something that we are really looking into, and then we keep bringing up all the time. So what we are doing is this Ghana Youth Speak Forum is an activational one. We want to activate, like we want people to leave feeling a sense of responsibility. I want to do it, because you can't say you would track me, you must do it. It has to be, I want to do it because I believe in it, because I know I can contribute to it, and so I'm doing it. So that is the whole sense of this all, and so that at the end of the day, people know and then they feel that sense of responsibility to do something, and then most importantly, they have skills, they have contacts, and that would enable them to take.
What, in your estimation, do you think is preventing the young people of this country, and of course Africa, from being part of the change all this while?
Okay. The first thing I'll mention is the belief in ourselves and believing in our potential. Sometimes, you know, we are told that we can do it. Sometimes we know we can do it, but we are not told we can do it. Sometimes we want to do it, but we don't feel we can do it. When you take a young person from Ghana, for instance, and a young person from Europe, it's very obvious. The difference between us is the self-confidence or the self-belief in us.
Really?
It really
I've met
is.
some white people who are not as confident as I am.
I have met several of them who are, and then they are, you know, I mean, the context differs, but when you take the average person, because we are brought up in a culture where we can't really express ourselves, we can't really say the things we want to say, and we don't even want to share our dreams. And if we do not share our dreams, we would not get people to help us to move forward. So that is one thing. Then I think there are opportunities. It is not okay to say there are no opportunities. There are opportunities. Sometimes we just do not know where to look out for these opportunities. Yeah, so those are some of the things. Then there are other issues like policies, favorable conditions, and all those things.
Talking about favorable conditions, and I'm happy you mentioned upbringing, grooming, and everything else that comes to play. We're supposed to have a Ministry for Gender and Social Protection, but you're doing this in collaboration with the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Why not gender and social protection? Because the social makeup and form-up is also critical indeed, don't you think?
Yeah, probably we could have looked into that, but the Ministry of Youth and Sports was quite forthcoming and open to us.
Are you suggesting that the gender ministry was not
We
forthcoming?
did not approach them,
Right.
yeah, and we felt, you know, if we have one side of it, we have one ministry supporting, that is good. But again, even with the ministry, it is more of technical support, you know. I think it's about time.
What is technical support? What's the definition?
Morale.
They're giving you morale.
Yes, you know, and someone to just go through, support us with some of these things.
Because really, if we're talking about upbringing, the Education Ministry, the Gender, Children, and Social Protection, and the Youth and Sports Ministry, these three, are critical indeed.
Yeah.
Because if you're done, with your communique, and it needs to be communicated to the students and pupils, the GES is your best bet. Don't you think?
I agree totally with that. I agree with that. And I think that is something that we could look into and then make it happen. And also, I think the ministry should be more open as well, because sometimes you drop a letter. What
difficulty did you have approaching them?
You drop a letter, okay, nobody even looks at it. The follow-ups would have to be. And sometimes you need to know somebody in the inside to even push some things for you. So
is that a disincentive?
It is, but then of course, as young people, the good thing is that we have the passion and the dynamism, so we would not mind just following up on it. But if it can be easier, just pick a call and then call somebody, pick a phone and call somebody, and things can happen, then that would be much more of an incentive.
26th of May is when it's happening. Where?
Yes, the Ghana Youth Speak is happening at the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. It's around the Alliance Française area. Yes, and it's a whole day event. It's a whole day event. We're looking at 500 young people being together, talking, airing their voice, sharing their opinion. We're going to have people in the industries also coming into to share their perspective as well, to guide the conversation. And then most importantly, we get to create things that we think other people can take part in to drive the sustainable development agenda.
The ISEC was formed in 1961, and you say this year that the youth of today are the business leaders of tomorrow. Since 1961, how long ago did you realize that we're the business leaders of tomorrow?
No, it has always been that. In fact, ISEC globally...
On paper.
It's always been that. I mean, when you look at our alumni from 1960, they are big people now. We have the Professor Kobla Hertos, the Michael Koblers, the Felix Ados, they're all big people now. But I think it's about time we stop saying the leaders of tomorrow, because tomorrow is today. So that is why we are taking initiatives so that we can empower people to make them know that you can take those decisions, those ideas, you can do that now.
Who can attend?
Anybody. We are looking at youth, so from 15 to 35 years. No, wear anything you feel comfortable in. Just
that's dangerous. People will come in mini skirts and crop tops.
It shouldn't be about how people look. It should be about what it is you have to offer. So if you are wearing, people would wear something comfortable, definitely. If you are wearing crop tops and you have, passionate about making a change, why not? You should come and then let's share ideas.
Finally, on this one, if somebody wears a crop top and a mini skirt, and maybe stilettos to an event of this nature, in an environment like Ghana, where our cultural elements come to play, won't the elders who will be there to facilitate the conference, like Mrs. Samira Baumia, raise an eyebrow, don't you think?
I'm not going to sit here and say that everybody should come wearing miniskirts and crop tops.
You said everything, they can wear everything.
But wear things that you feel comfortable in.
Things like what? Give us an example.
Wear jackets, wear jeans, wear t-shirts, wear a suit, wear an African print shirt.
Right.
I think we need to make people feel comfortable rather than putting in place lots of restrictions on how people should be, because at the end of the day, the outputs should be what matters most.
Thank you. Sandra Jacob.
But let me talk about
We don't have
those
time.
who are going to be there. Okay, we're going to have the senior country partner of PwC, Visha Shiabo, he's going to be there. We're going to have the CFO of General Electronics, Vincent Opoko, he's going to be there. We're going to have Ghana Think Foundation CEO, Ato Uzunapia, being there as well. Samira Baumia is going to grace the occasion. You know, our second lady, we all love her the most. So if you want to meet some of these people, you can pass through as well.
Thank you. Sandra Jacob is Isaac Ghana president, and she's inviting you to join them on the 26th of May at the College of Physicians and the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. Absolutely. We'll be back shortly after this on New Day.
Welcome back. So on entertainment, as we promised you yesterday, we bring you something up close with Michelle NewDay, a celebrated Nigerian TV star and actress. We'll take this from Solis Roscote. Stay tuned.
Friends, I guess the only thing that I have trouble with is finding a guy.
Who does them? Usually I don't date women as old as you.
Excuse me?
You probably know her as someone who does a whole bunch of things. I think she speaks different languages as well. She practically grew up all over the world. I'll call her the internationally multilingual Michelle NewDay. How are you, girl?
I'm good, girl. How are you? I like that introduction. Thank you. You're making me sound better than I am. But
but you're good.
Thank you.
You're good. You're better. You're best.
Thank you. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Okay, so I'm here with Michelle NewDay, actress, television host, producer.
You know, whenever people say producer, I've only done that once.
Yeah, but you're still a producer because it was a good movie, enough to get a nomination for an award.
Yeah, which was I won't lie, very surprising. I didn't know that it was going to do that well, but I also think that when you work on something, sometimes a lot of people, which I am, you tend to be your own worst critic. And because I had wanted to work on the project as a production assistant, and the director said, no, you know, I know you, I know that you put your all into it, so co-produce with me. I was scared, and it was my first time doing something behind the camera. So I don't consider myself a producer just because of that one experience, but I learned a lot. And hats off to the producers out there. I honestly don't know how they do that on a regular basis. It's not the easiest thing to do in Africa, as I'm sure you know. As I'm sure you know, we're enjoying sitting on this side of things. Being behind the camera is not the easiest thing to do.
Okay, so in case you're wondering which movie she's talking about, that's Flower Girl, featuring Chris Atto and Darren Lora.
Chris Atto was in it. Dami was in it as well, and Eku, Edewo, Bikia Graham Douglas, a whole host of very talented actors. Yeah.
So that was your big break in producing.
My first time producing, yeah. I had wanted to start producing TV shows, actually. TV shows like this. So it was an opportunity for me to test the waters and see what that was going to be like. But because it was such a challenging experience, right after it, I thought, okay, let me stick to what I know, which is what you do, you know, TV presenting. I'm more comfortable holding a microphone and talking to people. I'm talking to the camera. Over the years, people had suggested that I act, but it was something that I was afraid of doing. I won't lie, I was afraid of doing. I didn't think that I was going to be able to do it convincingly, because I felt, one, you have to be trained to do it properly. And I just didn't think I was going to be able to act, because I am generally somebody that's extremely expressive. I speak with my hands. I'm used to talking to the camera. And with acting, you have to, you know. So with acting, you have to kind of pretend like it's not there. And I kept on wanting to look at it. I kind of knew in the back of my mind that people were expecting me to be terrible. It's like, she's a TV presenter. How is she going to act?
Get out of my way, Bam. Get out of my way. I've had enough of you Sanogas for today. I'm done.
Being, let's say, multi-talented, what would you call yourself if I were to ask? What are you?
I feel as if you're putting me on the spot, and I'm so used to putting other people on the spot. And I always ask, which do you prefer? So for me, it's kind of difficult to answer that question with just one response, because I started off studying fashion design. for me, it was, I am going to be the biggest female fashion designer to come out of Nigeria, and that was like, you know, that was my goal. And life happens. I always say life happens, and opportunities come up, and a lot of times we don't take advantage of those opportunities, but I decided to do so, and I started presenting. I think it was God, really, that led me into TV presenting. I was in the right place at the right time, had no experience whatsoever. The producers of Big Brother Nigeria liked my voice. They thought it was different. They saw me talking to some people in a gallery, come and audition for this, and the producer actually gave them my number.
We're at the 4th Big Brother eviction party for the second girl to be evicted from the house. Tonight, it's Joan's eviction party, and it's gonna be pumping, pumping.
It was not something that at the time I was in love with. It was just an opportunity and a job, and I fell in love with it. So, as far as my first love would be fashion. I'm obsessed with fashion and clothes. Presenting is the thing that brings me the most joy. It gives me this feeling that I can't explain, and I think it's because I was somebody that was actually very shy. I couldn't speak to people that I didn't know well comfortably. It brought me out in a completely different way, and I fell in love with it. I love acting, and it's weird because I now get this feeling of euphoria playing somebody that's so different from me. It's like with Desperate Housewives, playing Tari initially. It was so frustrating because I would read the scripts and think, how can this woman be this daft? Like, how can she be this daft? Like, how will you go over to a guy that you're interested in and ask him if he likes to read? Like, you know, would you like to borrow some books? I just thought, seriously, and it was people constantly reminding me, it's not you. Remember, it's a person. So what would this character, what would this person be like? With the character that I played in Hush, the African Magic series, she was a lawyer and she was very, you know, correct, and she's very prim and proper, and she's no nonsense. So it's like, okay, I have an aunt that's like that. She's very no nonsense. So I took a little bit of that. I took a little bit of myself when I'm trying to maybe negotiate for stuff. What am I like? So I put different people in to try and create a more me banjo.
There are some people who are of the view that you should stick to one thing, whatever it is, but just stick to one thing and be great at it. What's your view on that?
In some ways, I agree, because when I moved to Nigeria, I would meet people that were doing so many things, and coming from England, it was a very different idea for me, because I always felt, don't be a master of several different ones, or, you know, jack of all trades, master of none. It was stick to the one that you know and do it well. But I think one of the good things for me is that I was a presenter for several years. And because, like I said earlier, I'm my own worst critic, I never thought I was good enough. So I was constantly trying to improve upon my skills. And I think I got to a point where I was like, you know what, I'm a really good TV host. And it took me almost 8 years to say I am very good at that, which is why when people are like, oh, you know, you're a good actor, I don't see it as that. I feel I'm a newbie. I'm an actor in training. I'm learning. It's something that I did one, and now I'm doing the other. I have done both simultaneously, and it is not the best thing to do, because literally it's like I'm on Hush. I would switch off for 2 weeks every quarter and then go and shoot moments where I'm myself. And then there was a lot of Amal me that I found that was coming out as I was hosting moments. And that's not supposed to happen. So for future reference, I won't be doing that again. I will literally have to separate the two. As far as other people, I think that do one to the best of your ability. When you feel that you have reached a point where you're satisfied with what you've done, then try other things, but don't say no to any opportunity. And recently I spoke to some university students, and they were saying, oh, you know, I'm studying accounting, but I really want to do presenting, but I'm also interested in photography. I said, try one. If you know that you don't want to do accounting anymore, at least you have your degree, so it's, you know, it's in the bag, so to speak. Try photography first. Learn how to be a good photographer, take courses, you know, do internships, do some training, take photographs of your friends, do that up until a certain point, and then make the other one sort of like your side gig. I had a bit of a downtime in presenting, which is why I started acting, and Thelma suggested it. And at the point that she suggested it, had I been busy presenting, I wouldn't have gone for that audition. I really wouldn't have. Because acting takes a lot out of you, physically, mentally, emotionally, and to then come back to who you are at this point, you will be exhausted.
With who you are right now, if you look back, say 15 years, would you have ever guessed in a million years that this would be Michelle Dede?
No, absolutely not. I never thought that 15 years ago this is what I was going to be doing. I never even thought 15 years ago I'd be living in Nigeria. it was nowhere near my plans for the future. I was going to be in Europe, and I was going to be a Nigerian designer living in Europe. I think also one of the good things that has happened from living in Africa, spending more time in Africa and Nigeria as well, but not just Nigeria, coming to places like Ghana, going back home to Ethiopia, because Ethiopia is home for me. I went to high school there, and that's where I've lived the longest. So it taught me to appreciate how I looked, how my body was. As far as size-wise, this is the biggest I've ever been. Yeah, girl, in London, it was, if you're not a size 8, you're not attractive, because that's what the media feeds you. So me being a size 10, I always thought I was too big. Or you don't like your features because maybe they're not Western enough, but predominantly it was for my body. So Nigeria has made me accept that it's okay to be, slightly bigger. It's okay to have a big booty. It's okay to have big eyes. The strange, Nigeria has made me fall in love with my large eyes. Because in the UK it was like, 4, your eyes are massive, and I'm like, they're not that big. But I fall in love with my eyes, so I've learned to appreciate the things about me that I didn't appreciate living in the West. And coming to places like Ghana, I appreciated my skin color from coming here. Really, in 2006 when I first came here, I appreciated because I saw how women here loved the fact that they were dark. And I'm not super light, and that's something that's basically adored in Nigeria. I'm not gonna lie, it's adored. I've had situations where people will come and tell me, why don't you do something to tone up a bit because of your industry, it's better for you to be lighter. And I've always thought, I've never had a problem with my skin color. Even living in England, nobody ever suggested I get lighter. So being in Nigeria, I did feel uncomfortable about the color of my skin, but then traveling more within Africa and meeting other people, I just thought, we all come in different shades. This is my shade, and at the end of the day, there are people that are a lot lighter than me that are going, oh my God, your skin is so nice, what do you use? Exactly, it's like, oh, it's sort of bronze, it feels so nice. So fall in love with who you are. It's a difficult process, and it's a process that I work on every day. I have insecurities, as I'm sure you do. None of us think we're perfect. But I think you have to get to a point in life where you start looking in the mirror and appreciating what it is that you have. So I have a big forehead. You can't see it, unfortunately, because of this hairstyle. Honey, look on the internet. Mine is like a very big forehead. And I love...
You called it a 5 head.
Yes, I do. I love it. I've learned to love it. So whereas I wouldn't have worn my hair off my face 15 years ago without feeling uncomfortable, I do it all the time. I wear my hair off my face all the time. When people are, even in Nigeria, they're like, your forehead is large. And I'm like, but you like it though. You have really big eyes, but you like it though. And if you don't, then that's your problem, because I like my eyes. I think they're my best feature.
Well, Michelle Dede, if you don't like yourself, how will someone else like you? Thank you so very much for speaking with us there. It's been New Day here on TV3. My name is Solis Rose Corte. Over to you guys in the studio.
And I'm Amma here in studio with you, with Bright and Johnny. We'll take some messages.
Yes, I'm sure we can take a few of your messages on social media. And interestingly, there's Stonebwoy has been nominated for BET, and it's generated a lot of controversy. I remember the last time he was nominated, somebody tried to take his shine, his arch rival in dancehall music, and it started again. People say, while the Nigerians are rallying behind their people and supporting, we are busy saying he doesn't deserve it. I don't know what's wrong. We behave like crabs sometimes. I mean, hashtag I pick Stonebwoy. Anyway, why should, this English, I'm not too sure I can read it. Government should wake up, because opening a filling station where commercial activities take place has become the major challenge that has bedeviled the nation. From Sir Fresh says at Ashanti Driabin, it says His Excellency President Nana-Addo and his Education Minister are deceiving Ghanaians about their free SHS policy. The NPP and President Nana-Addo promised free SHS for every Ghanaian child, and so why are they converting it to free SHS scholarship? Mr. President, please be truthful and faithful to your promises. Greetings to all Kumewu NDC constituency members. And the department in charge of all licenses issuing should first find out where the filling station is going to be situated before giving out the license. Kojo, you think they don't know Kojo? They know.
Yeah, well,
they just collect my money and put it there. Frank Odami Kumase, I want President Nana Akufo-Addo to remember what he promised about electricity bill. Still, we're suffering about high bills. I think. Please do something about it. God bless Ghana. Johnny, One thing about the betting company is that it's employing a lot of Ghanaians, although it's affecting others as well. Bismarck at Manso Ethiopia. And Coach Apia, welcome. I want you to set the world record again during the upcoming World Cup. Remember, it will be impossible without Kelvin and Sule. Tune your memories back to South Africa. There, after what happened in the other World Cup, even the qualifications now. Just try and see them. I miss you. God be with you, Elvis. And please, who gave the CPF the license to operate the senior high school under the high tension cables around Achimota Mile 7? TV3, please check it out. It's very dangerous. I agree. And the MPP and Nanado promised an incorruptible government. I don't know if what is happening is what they meant. Good morning, TV3. I was one of the workers who was wrongfully deleted. They promised we will be paid by 15th, but I have not been paid. Please tell the government that we are totally broke. Obi in Tamale. Should be. The MPP promised us they will bring down the cost of our utility bills, but today they are telling us a different story. Lights, Dumsa. Okay, I'm sure you mean Dumsa. It's too high nowadays, so they have to take time like that. The energy minister is talking too much grammar. He should sit down and provide strategic direction. Foga, Nukunu in a flower. And good morning, TV3. If some Galamsey equipment have been bent somewhere, they should come to the DSO in the Swaman district before some Galamsey may are still hanging around, because some of them are still hanging around. They were still working as at 2 a.m. Wow. Bright. Some people are sleeping on the job. Matthew and Latibia Koshi, you are doing a great work. Keep it up, my dear Bright. Bright, this sounds like a lady's texter to you. The Minister of Energy is very proactive and hence must be commended for the great interventions he has put in place at ECG from Blueprint Isikado Ketan. And Jane from La says, NDC, stop worrying our president. Nanado is only 5 months in power. NPP and Nanado shall surely deliver. Good morning, guys. Keep it up and good work. Today's discussion is awesome. You always shine up my day. Love you guys from Sandra. And good morning, Johnny. Distance and sandwich education graduates have been neglected for far too long. And the time has come for us to bite. Our members would be out in their numbers and stage a massive demonstration against the government of Ghana if the GES does not employ and post all sandwich and distance education graduates to teach in the public schools across the country. Alassane Bako, President on Unemployed, he's been very consistent sending us those messages concerning that they are going on strike. They are going on strike.
They say they will back or bite.
Well,
bite.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you back without biting, then there's no need.
Maybe they've been backing for long, so now it's time to bite.
Toothless bulldog is like a puppy. Okay. Anyway, so the hashtag, remember, for all music lovers and those of you, go on to the BET website, and hashtag I pick Stonebwoy. Forget about all the haters and everybody else who thinks Ghana first. Pick Stonebwoy. Let them win. We did same to Miss V last year. She went. She didn't bring back the award. And you know, in Nigeria, Wizkid and I think Davido and Mr. Easy. And Mr. Easy tweeted at them and says he hopes that Wizkid brings the award here. And here we are fighting somebody who boss country. I don't get it. We behave like crabs.
All right, Wednesday is done.
Yes.
Sharp. Time now to hit the streets of Accra and start catching the witches.
What's happening?
Yeah.
And I'm told that around the Café des Amis in Afrikiko, there's something like sewage that's sitting there. AMA, Mayor Nia Jeso, good morning to you.
Very good
and
morning.
ECG boss, good morning. Yes. Around that same place, fix the ECG thing there. Stop, it's blasting. We don't want that too. We don't want that. Good morning.
He wants to kill all of us.
No,
I doubt that's what he wants to do anyway. So
good
morning. Same time, join us tomorrow from 6 to 9 a.m. We'll be on your screen. Have a blessed day. Goodbye.